I am. Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. A happy Wednesday to you. Welcome to the Sales Mastery. And today it is my sheer honor to introduce one of our awesome members of our Katy, Texas group. That is Samantha Varner. She Collective is the name of her company. She is actually a profit coach. So she helps people get more profits, which obviously we're all in business as entrepreneurs. You want to get more profits out of your business. She is also a podcast host. So I'd love for you to take advantage of her listening to her podcast. She Needs Grit. There's 36 episodes and you can catch up easily. Very fun listen. You will totally enjoy it. And I know she's got a great little freebie for everybody today. So make sure you stay on and get the QR code for a free session with her about your own profits. So take it away, Samantha. Do great. Love you.
Thanks, Helen. I love the introduction. That makes me feel a little pressure. I feel good. Okay. So I'm really excited today to be part of this sales mastery group and have conversations with you guys around building your sales success and really continuing to develop the profit in your business. So just so you know, that QR code right there on the screen is a direct link to my Instagram. So on there, of course, in my bio, you can get a hold of me. You can send me a DM. If you have any questions that you don't necessarily want to bring right into the public forum of this discussion today, feel free to hop on there, send me a DM, and we can have a conversation personally about whatever might be plaguing you in the sales department or really anything with business development. You're welcome to kind of send a message over and I can help where I can. Okay. So, all right. Got to move you guys out of my way here. Okay. So I'm Samantha Varner. We said that, Helen said that. I'm a profit coach. I have spent many years in my life, I guess, in the corporate world before I started my own business. So I have financial planning and estate planning background, marketing and public relations. And I bring all of that into my coaching business just to give you a little idea of like where I'm coming from. I'm coming from a place of coaching clients to really develop their profitable bottom line. And so we're going to talk about sales mastery from that perspective today. There are two main topics that I want to talk to you about. One is grit and how critical it is in your business. The fact that I would be willing to bet the majority of you sitting here listening to me today already have grit because you're here and you're developing yourself and you're growing your business. And just some ways you can think of compounding that skill set. And then we'll go into just some sales tips and tricks that I think will help you just hitting those goals you have for the end of June and then right through the end of the year. I do want to welcome you to ask questions as we go along, engage with me, let me know you're alive in the chat. I'm not necessarily going to be watching the chat the whole time, but please feel free to engage and we will kind of time the questions. There will definitely be time at the end of me talking. You'll be tired of me talking and want to talk yourselves. So keep questions too that you think might be relevant at the end. I would love to have those conversations. Okay, so let's get started. I really want to talk about grit from the perspective of persevering through the hard times as an entrepreneur. All of you on this call, I'm pretty sure, are nodding along and thinking, oh yeah, I remember that, or I am in that right now. But it's about whether or not we're going to stick to our goals until Tuesday, because on Tuesday it gets really hard and we don't want to do it anymore and it feels crappy, or sticking to it all the way through until we become successful. And I think as entrepreneurs, if we can take the mindset of, I'm going to work on this until it becomes successful, that's almost what guarantees the success in general. That stick-to-itness, which I know is definitely not a word. I was chatting with my daughter today and going through this PowerPoint. She's like, Mom, you can't just make up words. And I'm like, yeah, you can. Sure you can. So stick-to-itness. Not sure it's a word, but I personally like it. Okay. So grit, the term, I first became familiar with it in terms of Angela Duckworth's book, Grit. So it came out, I think, in 2014. So it's been around for a while. But if you're ever looking for a little bit of a motivational jolt and kind of an idea of like, yeah, I do have what it takes to make this business a success, I think it's worth the read. There's lots of information out there if you want kind of the Cole's Notes version online. So feel free to wander around in that area. But here are what I feel are the 4 most important parts of grit and growing your grit muscle. So that stick-to-itness is really critical for you to build the bottom line of your business and to get through the times where you don't have sales or things are going awry or people have quit and now you've got a hole in your business. Whatever that looks like, having your grit muscle be really, really strong is going to help with that day in, day out. So the first thing is practice with intent. I really think that this is where most of us, I hope, are doing a good job, but you need to really be seeking to better yourself in whatever your industry is. So first off, it's that development in your own industry, getting your skills from beginner into intermediate, into expertise, and making sure that you're continually developing that. Now, if any of you are sitting in here and you're, I don't know, let's say a realtor or insurance, somebody that ends up having to get those mandatory CE credits every year, we often look at those CE credits as a burden. But instead, if we start to look at what do I need to learn? What do I need to develop further in my business? What skill set am I here? And I want to kind of upgrade it over to here for the betterment of my clients. Practicing that with intent is developing that grit muscle. Okay, so it is really going in, continuing to do that. And you need to do that both with your actual talent, right? Your actual service offering, as well as with your sales skills. You need to continue to develop those sales skills and pursue sales excellence over and over and over again. So doing that really actively will create more grit, will create more results in the bottom line. I don't know about you. Maybe you guys can throw like an emoji in the chat if you're the kind of person who gets motivated when there's a challenge or a game, or somebody says to you, I bet you can't sell 3 clients by the end of the week, or I bet you can't make that happen. How many of you are that kind of person that gets driven by that pursuit of challenge against yourself or maybe against a team? Does that kind of resonate with you guys? I know for me, it really, really does. Checking the chat. Thank you, Jennifer. I love when clients come in here and give me a little testimonial in the chat. I'll take that all day long. Okay, so if you're the kind of person that is motivated by that challenge or that kind of a game, I want you to start building that into your business. How can you use all of the time you're supposed to spend in your metrics and your evaluation? And how can it be a game instead of a chore, right? Did I talk to more people this week than I did last week? Did I sell people faster than I did last time? Am I upping my game week in, week out, month in, month out, and continuing to grow my business? Being really active with those skills and with that pursuit of excellence will grow. So the third one, so set yourself a game, that helps. The other one is, I think, accepting the fact that in business, we're scared, right? Sometimes we're scared because we're trying a new marketing strategy and somebody told you, maybe your coach told you, you need to get on video and get in front of more people. And you think, oh, no, I don't want to do that. That is petrifying. Or maybe it's something as simple as you need to go out and meet more people beyond the walls of NIA. And that feels hard, right? That feels intimidating. It feels something very scary. I want you to really just say, I'm going to let the fear exist because it's always going to be there, right? Some part of this is going to be scary, but they get to be in the passenger seat. You're the driver. You are just going to let fear be along for the ride, but they don't get to drive. They're like my teenager. She's 14. She's not driving. That would be insane. Then the fear would be me. But if you just let it sit beside you and just exist and pursue the kind of badass goals or badass actions that you know you need to do to grow your business, not letting fear rule, that's building your grit muscle. That's continuing to develop that grit and that tenacity in your business. The fourth piece is welcoming failure. So understanding that failure is an absolutely necessary component of your business development. You will not get successful in business without failing. And I'm sure that all of you listening to this today can think about, oh yeah, the time that I launched that thing and nobody showed up, or I tried to sell that product and nobody wanted it, or the time that the person demanded a refund because they weren't happy with your services, or it didn't meet their expectations. Those things in the moment can feel really awful, but it's whether we dwell on that or whether we just go, okay, it's a learning experience. I'm going to determine what I do with that information and how I move on. And you can really see this, I think, if you listen to big, huge, famous entrepreneurs that we see on personal growth conferences, those kind of people, they are always recounting their story of all the things that went wrong until it finally goes right. And so that's that grit muscle, again, showing up and saying, yeah, that sucks. That was a big fail. That did not go according to plan. And taking the next step and taking the next step and taking the next step anyway, right? So if you think about those 4 areas for you and really decide what part of this am I going to dive into and develop my grit muscle moving forward, that I would really recommend you do that. I would recommend you take the time to consider, are you practicing with intent? Are you making it a game so it's fun on the days that it feels like drudgery? Are you letting the fear be beside you and not actually in charge? And then are you welcoming and then evaluating whatever failures happen in your business? Okay. Anybody have any questions or any thoughts before we move to the next part? Okay, I can only see some of you on this screen. I keep looking to this side because you're all laying there on my screen. So, okay. So we're all here because we know sales is critical. And I think we need to remember that and embrace that you are your number one salesperson in your business. It's just the reality. You can eventually outsource sales if you really want to, but at the end of the day, you still need to be the person who is most passionate, most confident, and most driven in that business success. And that always comes from sales, right? So let's talk about confidence first. So I believe, and I talk to my clients, and you'll see in my social media posting, all that sort of thing, that confidence comes before the result. And it's kind of backwards to how we've learned about it as we're growing up. We always feel like, that's a good example. We feel like we're considered really smart in school when we get a great grade on an exam, right? Yay, I got 96. That means I am brilliant. I am so smart at algebra. P.S. That was never my grade in algebra, but let's just say hypothetically in my dream world. But what if instead of it being the result has to prove that you should be confident in that area? What if you flip that and have it be, I am really smart because I study all the time. I focus on this. I'm working very hard. I can see the amount of effort I'm putting in is the thing that creates the confidence. And the result is just kind of course it is. Of course you got a great grade. You did all the work. You got the great grade. And when we think about this in terms of your business, when we think about in terms of your growth, oftentimes entrepreneurs that I engage with are feeling like when I have clients or when I hit this revenue number, then I can be confident in my business. Then I can feel really good walking into an NIA event and like shining. Instead, I need you to work really hard on developing the fact that you are confident first. You decided to start this business with a passion and a skill set, and you step into it. And that's the confidence piece, right? That existed the day you decided to leave your corporate job and open your own business. that was big confidence. That was big, bold action. You didn't have a client yet. Most of you probably just did it on a wing and a prayer, or you started making offers out in the world. Maybe you were still at that corporate job. You started making offers and somebody took you up on it. The confidence doesn't come from them taking you up on it. The confidence comes from having the boldness to put the offer out there in the world first. And knowing that and feeling that and deeply engaging in that confidence level every single day until you're more confident. And then the next day, more confident. So that when you engage with people out in the world trying to make sales, you're going to step in the room with that level of confidence, because it doesn't matter whether they say yes to you or no to you, right? You know, you're excellent at what you do, whether they say yes or whether they say no. And what that does is allows you to remove some of that sales pressure that we feel, which is why we don't want to call ourselves salespeople, because we don't want to feel that feeling. So let's start with confidence. Okay. Then the next things that I think are really, really critical in order to be exceptionally good at sales are these things. And it's interesting because these are a lot more of a mindset type of action rather than make 1,000 calls, shake hands, kiss babies, get out there, do the things. That is all really critical. You have to do that. You have to engage with humans in order to sell your product or your service. And we know that. But these are some of the things that I find trip up my clients when they're trying to make more sales that they don't anticipate. So the first is release your expectations. You are never going to convince somebody to purchase something from you that they don't need, or that they don't want, or that they don't see you as the solution for. And I think a lot of us that are hesitant when it comes to sales feel like somehow we're being sleazy and slimy and like convincing of people to do something, as if you're actively pushing them over, opening their wallet, stealing their money out of it, and running away with it. But that's not what we're doing. That's not what any of us are doing. I hope none of you are doing that out there. Please don't do that. But let's just say that we can release the expectations of every conversation leading to a sale. We can release the expectations of us convincing people that they need our product and service. Instead, we're going to come to it from that position of service. So if you can start wrapping your mind around letting go of those expectations and then coming to serve. So you're not looking for every conversation you have. Let's say we're going to talk about networking, right? So when you go to a networking event, we all know NIA does it differently. And the reason they do it differently is because they're trying to get away from that place of everybody just comes and pitches themselves. And it's just like a pitching frenzy, but nobody's actually there trying to help their neighbor build their business. They're just there trying to help build their own business. And that doesn't work. None of us as the audience of that like it. And you will be very unsuccessful with that method. So if you come to serve and come to open conversations with humans you encounter in the world, just from a place of how can I help you? What is your problem? That is the problem I solve, right? And I can provide the solution. Is that something of interest to you? Really, really shifting your mindset in that way will help tons in your sales. So keep it out of your own pocketbook and really in a place of service will shift things for you. The third thing we want to talk about today, and I don't know if I have a slide that's going to talk about this, so I might just talk from here, but is providing clarity. So your job as a person out in the world, engaging with other humans, is to provide clarity around what your offer is and what solution it provides for your clients. You always, when you get into an actual sales conversation, and a sales conversation can be at a barbecue, all of a sudden you're sitting there and you're chatting with Janet, and Janet is just, hey, what do you do? And you say, oh, I'm a profit coach. And two things can happen, right? Janet can say, oh, that's nice. And she just moves on. She just decides to get some potato salad and she does not want to hear about this anymore. Okay, no big deal. That's perfect. Thanks for chatting, Janet. The second thing that can happen is, oh, what's that? And so you answer them. I help my clients make more money in their business. Oh, who do you help? Like, who are your clients? Oh, they're entrepreneurs, they're business owners that are really looking to get into a 6 and 7 figure business. Okay. Janet's now engaging you in a conversation about her need. She has a need in here. She's asking you this question for a reason. Now, this might be just because she has somebody in her life. Maybe it's her daughter that has a business that's struggling and she's thinking, ooh, that might be maybe Sam needs to talk to her. But it might be for her. And you need to develop the conversation long enough to help her determine, do you want to have a real sales conversation? Do you want to sit down for a consult with me? And then getting her to that decision instead of like, oh yeah, maybe I'll talk to you one day. How many of you guys, maybe put that in the chat. How many of you have had a sales conversation with somebody or something that you thought might be a sales conversation, but then it just kind of like you left them in a gray area where you left and didn't know if they were really interested and you should follow up, or when they walked away, you thought they definitely are thinking about this, but not really sure how to move forward. Have you guys had that experience with your businesses? I see a couple of people nodding. Yeah, okay. All right. So we really want to eliminate that for your own benefit as the business owner. We don't like those places of, I don't know if I should follow up with these people or if I should just assume they're completely dead. Okay. Eve, you had somebody exactly like that on Friday. Okay, good. So in that circumstance, we really are giving them, it's a benefit to them to get them to make a decision that is either a yes or it is a no, right? And we can be neutral, coming from a place of neutrality of whether the answer is yes or no. Because again, remember, we're coming from a place of service. So if we are their best fit for their solution, we are going to obviously share that with them. We are going to help them determine, are we their best fit? Are they excited to move forward? Do they want our service right now? And our goal is to help them make that decision so they are not left in the gray zone. Okay. So I want you to start thinking about those sales conversations that you have where people are left in that gray zone. There are more questions for you to ask in that conversation. And if you're finding you're in there all the time, that's really something that you can delve into, exploring how better to get them out of the gray zone and get them into a yes or a no, so that you can put them in the hot lead category of your CRM, or you can put them in it was great to chat with Janet at a barbecue. And that's it. Okay. So in that, so once we've got this conversation, we're going to assume we got her out of the gray zone and Janet is all in. It's her business. She's excited. She wants to sit down and talk to me. Okay. And she's all in. I'm excited about this. So these are the 4 things you need to work on in your sales calls. And these sales calls can be just a conversation, right? Not all of you are going to sit down and do a consult with a client, but this is what you really want to establish. There are a lot of opportunities of sales scripts and perfect words to say. And I really don't think that that helps. I think that as a sales professional in your company, you need to establish what your personality is for selling. You need to make sure that you come across exactly how you are when they get to work with you day in, day out, moving forward. So instead of a script, I want you to think about these 4 areas. I want you to think about the first part of it is you want to work on the rapport and the comfort level. So you want to have them feel good about that conversation and secure about that conversation with you. You want to establish commonalities. If you met them at a barbecue and they have a kid the same age as you want to remember that. And by remember, I do not mean use your memory. We will all forget. Write it on the back of their business card or make a little note in your phone. Met Janet, barbecue. She has kids our age. They just took a trip to Mexico. Okay. So then when she comes onto the call or they're booking a trip to Mexico and you get on the call and you say, hey, Janet, how's it going? I know you're now into the summer holidays with the kids. How is that going? I know my house is chaos. You can have that dialogue. And then you can say, like, how did the Mexico trip? Did you get that booked? Where are you going? Have you got that sorted? I heard seaweed's terrible this time of year. Did you figure out something that's not in the seaweed area? So it's just establishing something that you're important to them. Sorry, they're important to you. You're also important to them, but you're establishing that you've taken the time to remember them. And I'm sure all of you, when you think about that, you think about how good that feels when somebody in your life remembers the thing that you said to them and engages you in the thing that's important to you, right? Your kids being home, your holidays, whatever it is. Those things are important. And if you've shared them, you're probably proud of them. Or you don't love summer with your kids, whatever that might be, whether it's a commiseration or a celebration, we can have that discussion and create that rapport. So you start there. The second part with a sales consult in any kind, so whether it becomes the barbecue chat that kind of gets going, or it's a proper consult, you're the boss. And this is sometimes where entrepreneurs will go awry. They will kind of forget that they're leading the call. They won't put it out there really specifically. They won't set the stage and outline for the client what to expect in the call. And all of a sudden, you will find you've given them, let's say you do a 30-minute call. You've inadvertently talked for 5 minutes and then given them 25 minutes to talk about their problem. And now they have to go because that's the end of the meeting. And you have had no opportunity to share what your skills are, what your solution is, or how they could work with you. So you want to really set that outline and be the boss, move it along, be like, okay, great. I'm going to give you a couple of minutes to give me the big outline of what you want to work on. And then we're going to talk a little bit about how this would be a good fit, how I work with my clients, what it would look like to work together. How does that sound to you? And you get their buy-in to that. And then you say, okay, let's start with you. Tell me a little bit about yourself, right? Then you want to listen. You want to talk only through asking questions. So you want to pull out from them exactly what they're trying to accomplish by working with you. And the one thing, if I could tell you anything about a sales call that you remember from this talk today, is the fact that they chose to get on a sales call with you. They want what you're offering, right? And so often we feel like, I'm nervous, I'm not sure. Maybe they want it, maybe they don't. No, they have a problem and they're actively seeking a solution. Just like if you go on to Yelp to find the closest pizza place next to you that has thin crust pizza. They have hopped on this call because they're pretty sure you have a solution to the problem that they want. So now it's just up to you to provide the solution and to do it in a way that they feel engaged and motivated to take advantage of. Okay. So we've done a lot of questions. We have an idea. Now we're going to talk back to them with sentences like, and if this feels awkward to you, don't do it like this, but sentences like, what I heard you say, or the most important part for you is solving X, Y, and Z. And they're going to say, yep, yeah, that's right. Exactly right. Or no, probably a little bit more of this. Okay. So you clarify that. And then the next sentence you say is something like, that's exactly what I do. I help people accomplish X, Y, and Z, just like that. And we don't do what often happens with entrepreneurs. We don't fall into the trap of, and here's all the ways you can do it. Let me show you. So we would just correct this and you could start managing that. And this would be the solution for this. And all of a sudden you start kind of offering your actual service before they've even hired you, right? So you want to restrain from that and be like, yes, I can solve that exact problem for you. That's exactly what I do. And they're going to say something to that. And a lot of times what I'm finding is that clients then say, okay, how can I work with you? What does it look like to work with you? What are the, maybe they want the details, maybe they want the price. Okay. So when we get to the price tag, how many of you put a little thumbs up or maybe a thumbs down? How many of you get to the price and feel a little bit stumbly or a little bit insecure, a little bit unsure about just saying your price? Does that feel comfortable for everybody? Or is everybody like, no, that feels awkward? Okay. Nice. Anybody else? Anybody awkward? Okay. Okay. So before we go to how to say your price on a sales call, let's talk a little bit about a trick I learned, and I can't remember who it is. I need to like sit down and think about who said this to me. But I tell my clients this all the time. I recommend to you that every time you go into the bathroom and you wash your hands and you're looking at yourself in the mirror for that 9 seconds that you're there doing that, say your price out loud. Now, you don't have to do it in a public bathroom. That's going to be weird and people are going to think you're crazy. But if you go into the bathroom and you wash your hands and you say the exact answer a client would need. So it's $5,000 to work with me for 1 month, let's just say, okay, hypothetically. So every time you go to the bathroom, you're going to walk in there and you're going to say, yes, my price is $5,000 to work with me as your personal caterer. And then you're going to dry your hands and walk on. And every time you do that, and when you think about how many times, it's going to get to the point that it's as comfortable as telling somebody your phone number. Right? It just works that muscle of like, get rid of any of that anxiety or that like weird feeling that then makes you really cringy when you go to say it. And clients won't necessarily pick up on that. They won't be able to say like, she was really weird about that. But they will feel something. The energy changes, right? A second ago, you're telling me I can solve your problems and it's amazing. And yeah, this is exactly it. And the next thing, you're stumbling all over your words when you go to talk about money. So you want to eliminate that stumbly, trippy problem. So every time you go to the bathroom, talk to yourself in the mirror like a crazy person and tell yourself how much it costs to work with you until it just is smooth and comfortable. Okay. So going back then to the pieces of the sales call and number 4. So now we've had, we're all in summer now, wherever you are in the country, and it's hot and you're drinking more water. So you have done this a lot. You have gone to the bathroom. You are really comfortable about saying your price. And then you don't talk. You don't talk when you tell a client what your price is. You give them the space to process that because maybe they weren't sure how much it was to work with you, or maybe they're trying to do mental math gymnastics to see how they could make that happen. Or maybe they're trying to come up with, okay, what's the first thought in my head? Do I have questions? Am I concerned? Does this work with what I expected? Our natural inclination is to fill the space with a lot of like jabber, 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 because we feel awkward and we feel unsure about what that might look like for people. But when we fill the space, it doesn't allow for the client to evaluate what they think and to come up with, if they have them, any objections. So you want to give them space to come up with, oh, that's more than I thought. Okay, perfect. That's okay. Now you can work with that because now you actually know what they're thinking and you can have the conversation around what they're actually thinking instead of filling the silence with what you assume they're thinking, which rarely is the same thing, right? We make a lot of assumptions and a lot of statements without a lot of fact behind it. Usually it's just kind of what our thoughts are about money more than anything else. Okay. So if we go through, as you're building that sales mastery and you're working through how you have a dialogue with a client, if you just concentrate on making sure to include these 4 pieces and getting very, very comfortable to talking about your money, right? And what you can create for the client. And I think there's a message here from Coach Hess, and I agree so much. The idea of pairing your price with a guarantee to help increase conversion rates. That can be a really good strategy. And sometimes I'll have the conversation with clients where they're like, ooh, but how do I guarantee if the person is going to create the result that they want? Say you're a weight loss coach, and there's a lot of factors around somebody losing weight, most of which you can't personally control as the coach, right? They could still go and eat a dozen donuts a day, every single day, and you're not capable of stopping them. But being able to say, these are the results I've gotten with clients before, I can guarantee if you follow my program, if you implement my system, if you engage my services and follow along my instruction, your results can be guaranteed. Right? And you can come up with what that guarantee language is. It doesn't have to be, I guarantee 100% increase in your profit. That's not it. Because oftentimes you're going to come back to what is it they're looking for? Are they looking to build more confidence in their business? Are they looking to increase their customer base? Are they, for you guys, it's all different, right? Depends on what your business is. But think of a way that you can kind of put something that feels like guarantee language into what you're offering. Okay. All right. I have to keep moving you guys to get out of the way of my PowerPoint. Sorry about that. Okay. The other piece I really want to talk to you today is the sales process. And this is, I'm going to talk about microwave popcorn, which seems like a really insane sort of thing to bring up when we're talking about sales. But I think what happens as entrepreneurs is we get anxious when we start to be doing different marketing, or we start to implement a new system, or we are lead generating like day and night. We're doing a really good job. We're meeting new humans, we're having conversations, and it's not necessarily translating into sales. I want you to think about when you're having that feeling, when you're going through that stage in your business, whether it's at the beginning or honestly, every time you scale your growth, you're going to run into this again. The concept of microwave popcorn is just that you've got the bag, you throw it in the microwave. We all know it's 3 minutes, or use that popcorn button. And to begin with, the first, whatever it is, almost a minute, probably the first minute, nothing appears to be happening. How many of us peek through the window and check and it's still flat? And did I do it the right way? Is the flaps flapping up? And you think, I am doing all the work. The microwave is working. I can hear it whirring around and no popcorn is happening, right? Nothing is popping. So then if we don't open the door, and opening the door is always stopping what we're doing, stopping having sales conversations, stopping engaging with Janet at the barbecue or whoever else is there. If we start stopping because we think it's not working, it stops heating up the popcorn. But the kernels in the popcorn, you have to leave the door shut and you have to let it heat up and you have to let it continually heat up. But what also has to happen is they don't all pop at the same time. Right? And we get like a one-to-one. I had one sales call. I should have one client. I met 10 people at that barbecue. One of them should be a client. I networked all the time. I did a whole month of networking and I have no new clients. What is happening? What am I doing wrong? And I think really considering you're not doing anything wrong. You're being visible. You're getting out there. You're engaging with people. It's just that everybody's kernel pops at a different rate than everybody else's. And we forget that as business owners, where we start to feel like nothing is working. And what ends up happening with most entrepreneurs that I see is nothing is happening. And so they burn the whole thing down and try some new marketing strategy, or try some new way of doing a sales script, or try and find clients at a whole new networking event, because obviously this one's not working. When in reality, it's about giving it enough time to pop the popcorn, right? Actually taking the time to let the popcorn pop until it does, right? And that really comes back to, I think, comes back to grit, to knowing that we're going to be successful if we stick it out for long enough. right? And not give up before we actually see the results, but trust that the microwave is going in the background, the oil is heating up, and those popcorn kernels are right there. So don't open the door. Don't change anything. Just let it cook. Okay. All right. So now we know we need to create a really strong way of talking about our price, getting in front of clients, right? Having those conversations enough to create potential clients. Then we get to the point where we have got them saying either yes or no. So if they said yes, great job. We have a new client. That is very exciting. We can move on. If they said no, how many of you go back and evaluate why they said no? Are you guys doing that on a regular basis? Ooh, I see a hand. Andre, is that you? You do that? Yeah. And do you do that for every time, every client that says no to you? Do you go back and go through like what happened?
I typically try to get an answer from them and figure out why they're saying no. You know, what is the reason? Did they find a better option, a cheaper option? Somebody else explained something better, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. And how much has that changed how you do business and how much business you do?
A lot, because you learn from those.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. You start to see what are the things that maybe I'm not competitive on, right? What do I need to offer that people are really looking for that I didn't realize to begin with? And now I know I need to start engaging that or having that as part of my process. So there's the one thing to really think about is, are you creating trust in that environment? And it's not always, no's are not always based around trust. They're really not. There's often a huge factor of other things, but a lot of those other things, they found a cheaper competitor, that sort of thing. You can't control that. What you can control is creating trust in that relationship, building trust in that engagement, and really trying to talk to the needs that they have. And the evaluation of determining what was the reason they said no will allow you to move to the next person and create better rapport and better trust with them. You can anticipate, I know that you might consider somebody that has a lower price than I do, right? Here is why a lower priced offer is not necessarily best. You can speak to it before they've even come up with it as an option, but you're coming from a place of educating and you're coming from a place of expertise for the next client. And when you think about every client that you go through, being able to evaluate what you did, what they needed that you didn't provide, and then providing that for the next client and the next and the next, you will increase your sales significantly. Significantly. Okay. Okay. And I did talk already a little bit about that. Getting a no is really great and how valuable it is to have a no so that you can move past that client. So you want to really evaluate, you want to ask the question, be bold. Don't be afraid when a client says, no, I'm not interested. Ask them why. And coming from a place of, again, very objective, I'm looking to improve my service and be the best possible provider. I would love your feedback, right? Put people at ease to be able to honestly tell you why they chose to go a different route. Okay. Okay. So I'm just going to the comments there. I see that Russ has one. Chiropractor legally unable to guarantee a result, guarantee that the patient would see her within 10 minutes of the scheduled appointment time. Okay, I like that. See, the guarantee doesn't have to be a result in terms of like, I will fix your back pain forever. That feels bold, but I like that, or the visit is free, right? So how much of the problem for that client base is my doctor's never on time. I end up wasting all my time in the waiting room. Here's a way to solve that. And that's a big factor for clients. So being creative about that, I think that that's huge. Huge. Okay. I didn't want to ignore you guys in the chat up there. Okay. So the next part of this is sales is a skill. So keep practicing. So it should really say, keep practicing and keep track of how you're doing. This is another area where I think you can make massive strides in your business and your bottom line of your business if you start tracking how long does it take you to get a client? So if I asked you all right now, what's your conversion rate on clients from cold lead, you get some rando's phone number and name, how many of those do you need to close one client? How many times have you gone through that activity of seeing how long it takes you to get a client? How many people do you have to work backwards from? So if you've got a goal of generating a certain bottom line in your business this year, have you determined how many clients will give you that bottom line? And how many humans you have to talk to create that number of clients to get that bottom line? Usually where people stop is, I need 15 clients to hit my financial goal. But what they don't know is that they need to talk to 150 people to generate 15 clients to hit their financial goal. And once you work that number out, once you look at what does it currently look like for you? And if you don't have these metrics yet, it's okay. You can start tracking it now. But once you have that number determined, then you can start to just compete against yourself. It used to take me 150 people talking to get 15 clients. Then you want to go to, okay, could I do it in 140? Could I do it in 100? Because all of a sudden, all of those metrics shifting that is what you're going to see here. You're going to see at the beginning, your sales ratios are not going to be great. Your closing ratio is going to be 30% or 10% or 5%. But if you're tracking it and you're seeing and you're looking at how do I set my goals in a way that then I can break down how many people do I need to see? If you know you have to see a certain number of people every single week or engage with a certain number of people, the actions that you have to take in your business to create the sales results are very straightforward. Then it just becomes the math, right? So when we look at this, I want you to really think about everybody starts at the beginning. Everybody started at the place of, I have no idea how many people it will take me to get a client, right? We all start there. And then we get to, gosh, it takes me a lot of people to get one client. But if we do our evaluation and track our numbers and do it like it's a game, so we actually do it, you will increase your sales ratios. You will increase then what your profitability is, right? So does anybody have any particular story that they can think of tracking their sales numbers or impact of tracking their sales numbers? Has anybody done that and been able to see what the impact of that is? No? Okay, so this is some NIA homework. You guys can all do it starting now. If you tracked for the next 6 months till the end of the year, how many humans have you talked to and how many sales do you make? Even just those two numbers will give you a really good idea for setting your financial goal and setting your action for 2023. Does that make sense? Does anybody have any questions around how to do that before I move to the next little bit? I can't see all of you, so I hope I'm not missing anybody's hand up.
If you tap on there's arrows on the list of
Oh.
videos.
There we go.
Yeah.
All right. I can only see one line of you. There's a lot of lines of you here. Okay, most of you have cameras off. Okay. So anybody there, raise your hand. Keep it raised. No. Okay, good. Okay. So yeah, I would really challenge you to do that. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised on probably the number of people you think you have to talk to versus the number of people you do have to talk to get the results are probably different than you think. And then really tracking that for the remainder of the year will give you a great start for 2023 and challenging yourself to do it with less. Okay. All righty. Okay, so I got chats up, I got people up. Here we go. Okay, so here are the things that I want you to take away from this today. I want you to really think about these topics, about growing both your grit and then seeing how much it will inevitably grow your sales. So practicing with intent, really looking at what part of your business do you need to get better at? What part of your business are you not consistent in? What are your clients saying no because? Is there something there that you can develop or a product offering you can create? Maybe there's a control there, maybe there's not, but it is worth evaluating those things. I want you to really accept the fear, right? Be bold in your actions despite that queasy feeling in your stomach when you're about to do something that's brand new, that feels really hard, that you're uncomfortable with. I want you to just do it anyway and let fear just ride beside you, hang out for the ride, but not be in charge. Make it a game. Some of the financial tracking in business becomes boring. Spreadsheets are not exciting for most of us. So if you can create yourself a way to track it and feel like you're challenging yourself day in, day out, it makes it more fun, especially when you start to see that you're getting better at those things over time. And you don't get to see that. If we don't celebrate these things and track these things, we kind of don't notice. So it's really worth doing. Welcome failure and evaluate. So go back to the history of your business and think about the failures and think about how far have you come from those days, those first weeks in business, those first months in business when you were worried that this was a terrible life choice and you needed to go back and get a job immediately, right? How many of us have been in that space only to, even more importantly, come out the other end and be like, no, I'm really all in. This is the thing I'm doing with my life now. That's the grit. So I want you to pat yourselves on the back for having that and continue to grow that muscle as you move forward. Okay. Remembering that you are confident before you have sales, right? You are a person who started a business because you knew you had a service or a skill or a product that was amazing, or a passion for providing a certain service for people. You were confident in that moment. So I want you to step into that confident place as often as you need to, right? Pretend it's a pair of pants. Put on the confidence pants and step into that feeling as often as you need to, even on the days where you've gotten 5 no's, because the no's aren't what make you good at your job. And the no's aren't the confidence. They're just data. They're just data for the rest of the evaluation. Come from a place of service, right? Really, really sell from a place of service. Talk to humans in the world from a place of service. Don't talk to humans in the world from a place of, you maybe could be my client, because it will make it awkward. You won't feel good and they'll run away. So that's never going to be very helpful. Make a point of connecting with new eyeballs and track how many eyeballs do you need to connect with to hit your goals. Track, track, track. You know, it sounds like I'm giving you math homework. I kind of am, but we're going to make it a game, so it's going to be slightly less painful. I think that's what our teachers used to say to us in math class too. Okay. And the last thing is, on the days where it feels like nothing is working and everything, like nobody wants your product or your service anymore, that your business is basically collapsing, I want you to really think about that microwave popcorn. I want you to realize that everybody pops at a different rate and that you will close clients out of nowhere. They will come out of the woodwork one day and they will say to you like, hey, I've been following you for 8 months and I've never commented and I've never engaged, and you basically didn't know I was there. I was a stalker, and I've been absorbing everything that you're putting out there into the world. And now I'm ready to do business with you. Those people exist in each one of your networks right now. You just need to remember to keep the door shut and let the popcorn cook and keep up with what you're doing in your business that has worked in the past all of the time, right? Keeping your consistency. Oh my goodness. Okay. I think I've beaten these things to death. So rinse and repeat. We're just going to look at that. Rinse and repeat the things that I've already said today. It makes a difference. All right. So before we wrap up, here is how you get a hold of me. But most importantly, does anybody have any questions, any conundrums they're currently dealing with in their business, anything that you want to engage in, period? I am happy to have a dialogue. So you can put it in the chat, and I'm going to make you guys bigger so I can actually see all of you. I'm going to try.
We got some gratitude coming through the chat. It's thank you very much, Samantha.
Oh, thank you guys.
Kath
I
and
appreciate
Charlene.
I appreciate that.
She Needs Grit podcast.
She Needs Grit podcast. Yeah, you can find that actually on the QR code that was at the very beginning. If you took that with your phone, that links into my Instagram, and all of the links are there. So you'll be able to listen to that podcast from whatever player you might be a podcast fan of.
Right on.
Yeah.
Samantha, Coach S here. I just want to say congratulations for how well you brought your business along and the great message you're sharing with everybody. It's great. It's good stuff. And I'm behind you 100%. It's good work.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Well,
Hi, Val. Do you need to be unmuted? Hold on. I might have the power. Ask to unmute. Okay, try unmuting now.
Hi. So
Hey.
lower my hand now. Okay, let me do that. All right. Hi, Samantha. Good to hear you. I got a lot out of it. Looking forward. I did do well in algebra, but the numbers you're talking about haven't been doing so well. So in terms of tracking, I mean, the results actually have been pretty good. But my question is about the bathroom exercise.
Ooh, okay.
So for me, because of the nature of the content marketing and the copywriting, you know, there's so many possibilities of service options. And so I'm wondering, and this is a thought that came to me that I wanted to bounce off of you, is should I, in your opinion, create a kind of a minimum package of sorts that almost like no matter what you need, you know, I can offer something that is like, you know, most of my packages start at $750 or something like that. Would that be an approach? What do you think?
Yeah, I think that can be a really good way to get you super comfortable with whatever that number is. So you can, in your sales discussion, are you basically coming up with their problem, then creating a proposal that's going to be priced accordingly with different options in there? Is that how you're doing it?
Right. Typically, that's been how I've been doing it. But what's interesting that I'm finding out, and you know, you and I talked about after the Tony Harris Taylor's conference.
Yeah.
And since then, what I've been noticing is that because my mindset is more of content marketing strategy, when people say this is what I need, when I probe and ask some more questions, I actually find out that they really need something a little bit different for the outcome they're looking for.
Yeah.
So it ends up morphing a little bit in terms of what they said they needed, and we, you know, come up with an approach. So that's why the bathroom exercise is, you know, stumping me a little bit.
Well, two thoughts just for you to overall think. What you could do is create packages that you offer that are standard rates. So you could say, I do you can do kind of the standard of like a bronze, silver, gold package. So you know that it's going to encompass for each client overarching what they might need. That would be a way, because then you can get really comfortable saying those 3 price points. That would be the way to do it.
Okay.
The other thing I would just say is, if you don't want to do that, I would go to, at what point do you start getting a little weird when you say the price? So if it's $750, like if you already know you can say $750 and that rolls off your tongue and you're like, I'm fine, then that's not the bathroom exercise. It's the like Cadillac client package that you put together, that you generate the number and you go, I'm gonna have to say this to this person. That's the bathroom exercise. Because if you're comfortable saying $37.50.
Right. If it's the people who basically need the whole thing, that number is the one that I'm not as comfortable saying. So yes, I will work on that. Thank you so much.
You are welcome, Val. No problem. Anybody else, any burning questions in their mind about sales or profit or podcasting or anything really?
Comment from Greg here. When given 3 choices, most select the middle one. Put the best margin on the middle package usually.
Yep. Yeah, if you're going to give the client 3 choices as opposed to you dictating, then for sure. All right, guys. Well, I made it under the wire of time. I didn't just go till I was shut off, so that's a win. I'm really grateful for the opportunity to get to talk to you guys today. So this was wonderful. It's great to see some friendly faces in the crowd that I have met in person, and I hope to meet more of you guys as we go through. But that is pretty much it for me. Again, feel free. So this QR code here at the end is the ability for you to book a call with me. So that just goes straight to my calendar if you're so inclined to do that. And otherwise, you are welcome to just go visit me over on Instagram, and you can find all of the places that I exist on the World Wide Web there for sure.
Samantha, thank you very much for your presentation today. It was great. Ladies and gentlemen, don't forget to join us next month on the Sales Mastery. Schedule is up on Network in Action under the added value. Look up, what the heck did I call it? It is called National Virtual. And you could see the schedule or everything with Network with the Nation, Sales Mastery, and of course our focus forum on the 1st, 3rd, and 4th Wednesday of every month. All right. Thank you very much once again, Samantha.
Yes, thank you for having me. This was great.
All y'all have a great day, and looking forward to seeing you at the next. Be well.